Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Team England player profiles. It is your astropath, Tom Lohman, here, back once again. Now, got a confession at the start of this. This is our last interview, but Chris was actually one of the first to get his shit together and come and help me out with the interviews. But then tech disasters occurred, and we're back here doing it again. So apologies to Chris up front.
Punished for being organised.
Yeah, as if Chris didn't have enough on his plate getting ready for WTC. I'm also like, please come and do an interview again. Please come and run through it all again. So apologies for that. Get that out of the way up front. And I am, of course, as alluded to, joined by the lovely Chris Kinnair, who is vice captain this year. How are you feeling about that, Chris?
Oh, I'm feeling good, mate. I've just sort of stumbled into it. You know, someone's got to do all the admin work behind the scenes. I've been cracking away, getting all the hotels booked, getting all the matrix work done. So
yes,
a lot of work that goes into it. The
100%
team at the event itself.
Oh, completely. And it connects it all together in a big way. And so you really do need people who are really on it with the organisation behind the scenes, as you say. So we've got a whole bunch of questions for you, Chris. And I'm going to start where I like to start, which is, when did you start competing at 40K? When does Chris enter the world of competitive 40K?
So competitive 40K for me was almost instantly from when I started playing. So I like most people, ice cream van going past, brilliant.
It's that kind of weather right now.
Yeah, it's lovely. So played when I was a kid, you know, had a good time then, played some friends in the street, that sort of thing. And then probably mid-20s, got back into it a little bit, sort of mid-late 20s. And sort of, you know, had all this extra money, like, oh, great, let's play Warhammer. So probably start of night, maybe end of 8th is when I sort of walked into a local store and I was like, yeah, let's give it a go, sort of speak to the local guys, know how do I get involved. Because I always wanted to compete. I wanted to play the game competitively. Because I always had, you know, when I was younger, I was playing video games like non-stop all the time. Like Call of Duty, then WoW, and then I was just like, I can't really like spend 24 hours a day playing those anymore. So it's like, let's just paint models and play Warhammer instead.
Gets you out of the house, doesn't it, Warhammer? That's one of the
things. Yeah, it does exactly. So yeah, probably end of 8th, early 9th, just before COVID hit, I suppose. Is when I got into it.
Fantastic. And I'm right in thinking you were quite a TTS player. You come through on TTS
exactly,
quite a lot.
Yeah. So I basically got involved with a sort of Tactical Tortoise League a lot. So met Naz through that as well. So I was playing with Naz there. Got involved with the Welsh guys pretty early on because I do live in Wales. I was born in Chester, so England. But yeah, I got involved with their sort of WTC team a bit early on. Went to one of Battle of Britain events. That was really fun.
Amazing. Okay.
So yeah, that was my introduction to sort of competitive 40K. So pretty much instantaneously, I was loving it.
Beautiful. And so yeah, that's one of the questions I often ask is, you know, when someone becomes a teams player. But it sounds like possibly you were from the start. Is that fair to say? You were right in at teams from the very beginning.
My first ever event I went to was with sort of the local guys around me. There was one of the Warhammer World team events.
Amazing.
So that was I'm pretty sure that was my first ever event that I went to.
Yeah.
It was like the 4-man teams events they used to run. I don't know how many years ago now. I don't know if they still do them. Maybe they do. But yeah, I loved it. It was just like, it's so much more enjoyable than going to sort of an event on your own. You know, you might not have like the confidence to go to an event on your own. So if you go along with friends, it feels like a lot more sort of an easy sort of access into the hobby.
Completely.
So I'd recommend anyone, if you're like sort of nervous about sort of attending events, you know, you might not be the most social person in the world, but if you've got a couple of guys that you know locally, they sort of help you out and sort of get into the game. So
100%. Yeah, I think it's something that if I'd known about it sooner, I'd have got into it a lot sooner, right? I think I only really stumbled across it a few years in, and it's so once you've actually gone to an event with your mates where you're literally all on the same team, you're all playing, you're all together, you've all plotted and planned all the way through what you're going to take, and you know, it's not like you're all teching for each other. Or
you've always got that one mate you want to throw under the bus as well. It's like he's pissed you off last week. Like, right,
you're going under. You're going under. Didn't like the way you talk back to me. Go under the bus. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Leviathan Nids for you, buddy. Enjoy. What would you say, Chris, is your proudest 40K career moment to date?
Oh God, it's the same one everyone's put, isn't it? So far, it's getting on Team England last year.
Yeah. It's huge, right? Incredible moment.
Massive. It was just like, and it was completely unexpected for me. It's my first year of playing. I hadn't really been playing that long, and the only person I knew on the team was Alex.
Yeah.
So I'd played with Alex online a lot of TTS. We used to have a little group of us with a guy called Andy Oakham, who used to play a while ago. Sort of hangs around. But yeah, we had a little group that would play on TTS together, have a really good time. So I knew Alex, didn't know anyone else.
Yeah.
So went down to the sort of Team England sort of practice days that you do, the sort of Battle of Britain event, the Northern Warlord teams event back then that we went to as a team.
Yeah.
And we had, I think, 2 teams of 8 there. And sort of did well that year, and I was like, I was doing fine. I went to like a few like bigs, like 60, 80 man GTs, and won like 4 of those within like a couple of months, which sort of helped my application.
Yes.
And then just sort of dwindled off for a bit, and then randomly in sort of March, April time, there was a Facebook post went up and said like, "Here's the team," and I was like, I'm on it. What's happening? I was like, we're completely unexpected. I was just, I'd sort of settled that I wasn't making the team at that point. I was like, I don't really care if I make it or not. It was my first time trying. So, but yeah, I was elated to get on the team. It was really proud moment. So
yeah, huge moment. And so I think for anyone who's interested in applying in the future, I think going on making a good showing yourself in the team's tryouts and things is great. But going on a proper run in singles, I think, is a really important way of making a case for yourself as well. And so we've had a few players who come through this year really have demonstrated that capacity in singles and in teams really, really strongly across the year. And I think it's so important. It's just showing off what you can do, right? I think it's a massive, massive part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking it to a fluffier question now, Chris. What's your favourite 40k army and why?
My favourite 40k army. Okay, so I had a different answer when I.
He's had time to think about it.
No, I think it has to be Necrons. It has to be Necrons.
Okay.
I love it. Like, it's what I've played. It's what got me on the team last year. I had a really cool Necron build that was working out really well for me, and so yeah, it's got to be Necrons. I've played them since forever. Back in, I don't know if when I was young, that's the army that had just been released when I started playing, or they were very new at least. Anyway, it was the sort of time they. I remember walking into the GW and there was something going on with the Eye of Terror and Space Wolf's 13th Company, all that sort of thing. So I don't know if it was around that sort of time. But yeah, they were like my very, very first army that I bought 10 Necron Warriors for with little green plastic rods.
I remember
really,
those.
Really so easy to paint as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Slap some silver on, give them a wash, stick them rods on, you're good to go. But yeah, no, I've had a great time with the Necron, so yeah, probably favorite army.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think the new model range is just phenomenal. The one they got.
I mean,
the models are just incredible. And B, like, there's such a depth and complexity to their rules, and they've got that really distinct. I mean, I was watching a Necron game played yesterday. Not going to give too much away other than that, but you're watching the other player going into this, and you're like, oh, I know exactly what happens now. There's a sort of inevitability in the way they can absorb armies and start rolling them back. It's like, bad news for you, buddy. Like, it's really, really very distinct.
The models are a big part of it as well, I think. When I got back into it, sort of ninth, that was the starter box, wasn't it? It was Necrons. So I just had, I really like painting as well, so that's big part of the hobby for me as well. I'm getting ready for the WC this year, and I'm just stressed out because I'm like, oh, my army looks like crap, but it doesn't look crap. It just looks.
Oh mate, they look so much. They're really beautiful. To say, yeah, you've got a really nice paint job coming along. It's just not a lot of time.
So yeah, it's just no time. We're recording this, and I will be getting up in about 10 hours time to drive to Belgium.
Yeah. So this is the last one out. This is the last ferry out of Vietnam. We've got to get this done. And building on that, I guess it's a bit more you focused. What would you say your play style is? How do you like to play 40k?
My play style is my theory on 40k is to play it a lot like play the averages. If you play 100 games and you go for the averages every time, you will. If say how to explain, like you play poker, for example, you'd always make a play based on what the averages would be, what the percentage odds would be, and then if over a long period of time that you'd come out on top. In that moment, it might go bad, fair enough, fine, but in my world, I go play the averages. That is the correct play given average circumstances. Some people don't like that because there is variance with dice.
Yeah, of course.
It might be a risk that people wouldn't be willing to take, but I'm like, well, on average, it should happen. So I'm just going to play out, averages. That's my sort of long-term goal.
Yeah.
You just normally come out on top. So that's my theory behind it. So I like to sort of play calculated risks, and quite aggressive at the same time. I think I love just
You're
shoving.
proactive in the game. I think is a fair
Yeah,
way of putting it.
I don't sit back and wait for people.
No, no, no.
I'm coming at you. Don't worry.
Make things happen. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the averages is really interesting. I think it's always really useful to at least know what those are and have those in mind. And that's something I've had to learn to do over the last year or two. It's not come naturally to me. I think it's really important to know that. And as you say, you might get variance in and out.
And then that's why I get pissed off with dice. So
yeah, that is the danger when you know what's supposed to happen. That's always a bit dangerous, isn't it? But it's good fun. Although playing the averages when you've got sisters, maybe it's a little bit easier because you can smooth those out a bit.
I don't even have to roll my 6 to get a 6. I've just got a 6. Oh, there you go.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And taking it back down a fluffy avenue, who is your favourite 40k character, Chris?
My favourite 40k character is 100% Ragnar Blackmane.
Yeah, and, what a baller!
I don't know much about the lore, but for me, when I was a young little whippersnapper, I was a big online gamer, like I've sort of alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a really game tag to use, and I was just like, I was playing 40k a bit at that time. One of my friends had a Space Wolf army. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I was just scrolling through the codex, like, looking for names. I was like, I need a game tag. Then I came out with Blackmane, and that was my sort of game tag for many years online. Since when I was about 10 till, even I've still using now. But yeah, I was sort of big into sort of Call of Duty. Played for Team Dignitas there for
amazing
6 or 7 years. So
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Traveled the world.
Wow, that's super cool. Okay.
Yeah, so when I was 15, I went to my first sort of event down in Newbury Racecourse.
Wow.
And it was one of the Insomnia Gaming. I don't know if Insomnia Gaming festivals still exist.
Okay.
But they're very different. Back then, it was like you bring your giant CRT monitor into a hall. The big old ones that weighed about 10 kilos.
Yeah.
And your computer, you bring it along, you set up, and you sort of play with your mates. And that was my first event when I was like 15. My mum and dad had to drive me down there because I'm like, what the hell is this? What are you doing? I had to make sure I wasn't just being groomed or something. But no, that was great. So
amazing. Wow.
I was 15 and then sort of took off from there. Sort of within a year, I joined the best team in the UK, which is Dignitas, and I was flying out to Texas.
Yeah, so that's incredible, man. Doesn't surprise me that you've soared to the top of another game. If you've got with the experience and the drive already, evidently that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, Ragnar is awesome, and the model again, absolute baller. When that Primaris model came out for Ragnar, so cool.
Yeah, I might get him and paint him one day actually, because I think it's.
You should. You definitely should. He's a lovely standalone miniatures to do, I think. Right, I appreciate that this is maybe a bit too close to the bone, given what I know you've been spending all day doing, Chris. But what's your favourite model you've ever painted, and why?
My favourite model is So I played Votann quite a bit last year.
Oh, hell yeah!
I got an Kinnair champion. I just love their aesthetic.
That's so cool.
I think it looks cool, and it's just really enjoyable to paint as well. It's just really easy. It's like Space Marines, I suppose. They're quite big, bulky, blocky. So it's sort of it's just very easy doing like nice edge highlights, that sort of thing. It's really easy to get those nice crisp edge highlight lines. So I've got a really nice Kinnair champion. Sort of my Votann scheme is I can't remember what they're called, the orange ones.
Yes. Yeah.
But they're
like I can't remember what the name. It might Trans-Hyperion Alliance, possibly. Yeah.
Alliance, yeah. And I painted them in that scheme, and they're on like moon bases as well. So they're like little. So it's like some sort of modeling clay with like the end of a brush like dabbed in, so like little craters. And they're like a bit of airbrushing, a bit of dry brushing, look really cool. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. That's one of my favorite models.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm actually on the desk of some Jaeger. They're going to be due at the WTC very, very soon. And they are a joy to paint. It's like this small but chunky. It's nice. There's not too much ground to cover. Yeah, all the edges are really nice.
At the minute, I can tell you my worst models to paint is Sisters of Battle.
I bet it flipping is, mate. I tried to paint them once. I was like, I can't play Sisters. I can't do it.
Oh my god! I was like, these will be quite easy. They're quite small, and you're like, the amount of detail on these.
So beautifully detailed, it's absurd. Yeah.
So I won't be thinking, especially white. I've painted mine white, which is, it was fine doing the infantry. Got to the tanks. This is the worst decision I've ever made. one little misplay with a brush, and you're like, there's a big grey streak across my nice white tank, and you're like,
amazing.
At least when it's like a black tank, you can like cover up a bit easier.
Yeah.
It's hard to do the white again.
You'll be glad. You'll be glad when it's done, but it's a horrible struggle to get through it.
Yeah.
All right. Final question, Chris. I can let you go back to painting white. What are you personally most excited about for this year's WTC?
So I think 2 parts to this. So my favorite part of the WTC, which I just love, I'm a big stats nerd, is looking at all the armies when they come out. So
yes,
then the evening when the army lists get released and the whole team's together, we're on a big Discord call. You're like, oh God, what's coming out? What's coming out? You're like looking through them. You're like, this list crap. It's like, oh, what is that list? What have we missed there? I think it's just really interesting seeing what everyone else has come up with, especially this year. There's a sort of whole plethora of armies that like I think between like us, Poland, USA, there's maybe like 15 armies represented, something like that. It's a big variety, so it's really interesting to see what the other guys have brought, and then love that part of the game.
absolutely.
And then in terms of just getting to WTC, just arriving, getting in Mechelen. We're going purposely a day earlier. We're going tomorrow, which is Tuesday, because last year we went on the Wednesday, and it was nice, have some drinks, but immediately, you're playing straight away on the Thursday, so there's no time to sort of have a bit of a social.
Just get your bearings and settle in a bit.
Exactly.
I'm excited for that as well.
So we'll go there, see everyone on the Tuesday, have a nice few drinks, see what we get up to. But yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, you guys have earned that. It's been a very busy few weeks. I think it's going to be a nice time to let your head down a little bit before things get started, but with enough time to sleep it off.
I've got 10 hours in the car with Tony.
Yeah. You're going to be napping.
I might be pulling an all-nighter.
You might have a little paint station and like an immolator in there.
I've got a little like those little dinner trays that you put on your lap. I'll be sat in the back of Tony's car.
Drive slower, stop it. Oh man, amazing. All right, Chris, thank you so much for coming on again. I apologize for the mix-up last time. Lovely. Can't wait to see you in person and get things underway for WTC. It's going to be really, really fun. Thank you to you, the listener, for supporting us. Do check in on all the Team England socials. Remember, we're going to have the streams for the team games going out on Glasshammer as well. And we'll be shooting updates on the Team England socials and on the 6 Plus socials as well. So there's going to be absolutely tons of stuff. So do tune in for that. We'll see you all again very soon for the real deal. It's time. There's no more prep, no more promo. We're going in. It's time to get it done. All right. See you very soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yeah, everyone.